Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. I'm your host, Maysa Doumaz. To the headlines. A terrible traffic accident cost the lives of 8 people in the province of Sidi Bel Abbas early in the morning at 5 a.m. In implementation of the President of the Republic's guidelines, the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman chairs a government meeting devoted to the sectors of communication, justice, investment and health. The General Caliph of Tariqa Tijaniyya, Sheikh Sid Ali Tijani Bil Arbi, warmly welcomed to Senegal. During his visit, the Caliph launches a humanitarian project financed by Algeria. In Morocco, the civil society is in full turmoil denouncing police repression, which will lead to an imminent social collapse, and the non-governmental organization condemns the Makhzen migration policy, describing it as inhumane and deadly. Those were today's headlines. We start our news edition with the horrible traffic accident that claimed the lives of 8 people in the province of Sidi Bel Abbas. The terrible accident occurred in the national road number 92 at the municipality of Mouni at 5 a.m. The accident occurred between a tourist vehicle and a bus. The civil defense mobilized its teams to help the victims. The President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, received on Thursday the President of the National Human Rights Committee of Qatar, Maryam bint Abdullah Al-Atiyah. The President of the Constitutional Court, Omar Belhaj, received on Thursday the President of the National Human Rights Committee of Qatar, Maryam bint Abdullah Al-Atiyah. Belhaj recalled the profound reforms undertaken by Algeria to build the rule of law and protect human rights. For her part, the President of the National Human Rights Committee of Qatar praised the high level of cooperation between the two countries. In this context, the two parties reiterated their desire to intensify efforts to consolidate cooperation relations and strengthen the exchange of knowledge and expertise in the various fields, especially in human rights. At the government palace, the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman chaired on Thursday a government meeting that examined several draft laws. In the field of communication, the government listened to a presentation from the Minister of Communication on a project that contributes to strengthening the government or the freedom of written, audiovisual and electronic press, as well as encouraging the emergence of a media scene stemming from national reality, committed to ethics of profession, away from the owners of corrupted money, as well as the creation of a press council and independent authority to adjust the audiovisual field. In the field of justice, the government studied a draft law that includes special measures for family unification in order to strengthen national unity, presented by the Minister of Justice, which takes into account the national experience during the various stages of reconciliation. This draft process or processes on the occasion of the 60th anniversary of independence, the renewal of the values of tolerance, favoring the national dialogue approach. The Minister of Justice also presented a draft law to combat money laundering and terrorism. In the field of investment, the Ministry of Industry presented 3 draft texts related to modalities of investment, registration, as well as the organization and functioning of Algerian Agency for the Promotion of Investment. Finally, in the field of health, the Minister of Health presented a draft executive decree defining the National Health Observatory, its organization and functioning. On the occasion of the 60th anniversary of the founding of the Algerian police, the Minister of Interior Kamal Beljoud, as well as the General Director of National Security, Farid Ben Sheikh, oversaw the commemoration ceremony and ranked a number of national security officers and agents in the presence of the advisor of the President of the Republic and the Labour Minister. For the first time, a woman was appointed at the rank of police superintendent, and 3 other women were appointed as officers. At the end of the ceremony, the families of the national duty and medical staff were honored. The General Caliph of Tariqa Tijaniya across the world, Sheikh Sidi Ali Tijani Bil'Arbi, had a glorious welcome in Senegal. Sabrin Taferganit has more.
The General Khalifa of Tariqa Tijaniya, Sheikh Sidi Ali Tijani Bil'Arabi, received the warm welcome in Senegal, a magnificent gathering of the followers coming from the different cities of the country, impatient to welcome the General Khalifa coming from Algeria. In Gonas, or also known as the Holy City, a city built by Sheikh Mohammed Saeed Bah, the General Khalifa had an enthusiastic welcome from local people, men, women, and even children, who didn't miss the occasion to wave at the General Khalifa. Sheikh Sidi Ali Tijani Bil'Arabi was also welcomed by Al Khalifa of Tariqa Tijaniya in Gonas, Sheikh Ahmed Tijani.
We're so happy to receive the General Khalifa. This is his home as well. Our students are his. We welcome him and wish him a pleasant stay.
Before visiting Gonas, the General Khalifa stopped by Kaulakh, where heartwarming welcome was waiting for him, a city built by Sheikh Ibrahim Nias al-Kawlakhi, where the General Khalifa was received by Al-Khalifa Sheikh Ibrahim al-Mahi.
All these blessings came from the city of Ain Madi, which is part of the glorious Algeria. May God bless it.
In the Zawiya for Omariyin in Luga, everybody was prepared and came early in the morning to receive the General Khalifa.
Each Senegalese and each citizen of Western Africa have a special place for Ain Madi in their hearts.
The visit of the General Khalifa Sheikh Sidi Ali Tijani Bil'Arabi to the Senegal aims to reinforce the ties between the followers of the Tariqa. This visit seeks as well to support and encourage fraternity in order to spread an Islam of peace, tolerance and dialogue.
The General Caliph of Tariqa Tijaniya, Sheikh Sidi Ali Tijani Bil'Arabi, launched a humanitarian project dedicated to landlocked villages in Senegal. The project, financed by Algeria, consists on drilling wells to provide water and facilitate the daily life of the population there. Melissa Kabash with the details.
Financed by Algeria to help Senegal, a humanitarian project was launched by the General Caliph of Tariqa Tijaniya, Sheikh Sidi Ali Tijani Bil'Arabi. The project consists on drilling wells in Senegalese villages so as to face the water shortage issue.
Water is essential and necessary. We can't live without it.
These images are living evidence of the village's suffering. These women, for example, will have to wait for a long time before being able to fill up water. It should be noted that the tankers come only twice a month to provide the villages with water.
This project to drill wells will tremendously help the population here. We thank Algeria for this generous initiative, as well as the Algerian delegation present here with us for the launching of the project. Today we chose this village to start the drilling operation. It is worth mentioning that other villages are included in this project to put an end to the water issue.
An issue that became a major concern for the humanitarian organizations who are trying to solve it as soon as possible. As for this project, financed by Algeria, it will facilitate the daily life of populations faced with this problem.
The Mujahid or war veteran Muhammad Rghi has passed away at the age of 87. The late was born in the province of Burj Bouaririj in 1935 and joined the National Liberation Front within its political office in Cairo. In 1956, he and 5 of his companions were commissioned by Ahmed bin Billah to transport weapons from Egypt to Algeria. Following this difficult ordeal, the Minister of Mujahideen or War Veterans Al-Aid Rabiqa presented his sincere condolences to the family of the late, praying Allah Almighty to grant him his vast paradise. The National Maritime Passenger Transport Company has scheduled an additional broad special Marseille-Alger service for Sunday for the transport of citizens stranded in the French city. The Ministry of Transport stated that citizens holding open tickets should contact the company's services in Marseille to register in the travel list, while other citizens concerned should buy travel tickets from this service within the limit of available places. Units of the Sahrawi Liberation Army targeted the entrenchments of the Moroccan occupying forces in the sector of Al-Mahbas, causing heavy human losses. Abroad, nothing seems to silence Moroccans. The political party Ennahda Demokrati denounces the brutal repression of the Moroccan security services on their activists and their policy against and the visit of the army chief of staff of the Zionist entity. The details with Ines Kellu.
Human rights and individual freedoms are in sharp decline in Morocco, according to Moroccan political parties and human rights defenders who identify it as an unprecedented decline, which portends an imminent social collapse. The political party Ennahda Demokrati, whose activists were brutally repressed on Monday by the Moroccan security services during a rally to denounce the ban on holding their conference, asserts that the brutality of the Mahzen regime reveals the fear that plagues it and its repressive police nature. The previous party declared that it is not intimidated by the practices of the Mahzen and intends to stand up to the regime by maintaining the holding of its Congress. It is moreover supported in its approach by the Left Federation and the National Coordination for the Defense of the Right to Peaceful Assembly in Morocco, which brings together 20 human rights organizations, all of which have condemned the Mahzen for having prevented Ennahda Demokrati from exercising its rights, calling on all defenders of human rights in Morocco to stand alongside the party's activists. The Left Federation and the National Coordination for the Defense of the Rights to Peaceful Assembly in Morocco joined the opposition party Ennahda Demokrati and condemned with one voice the welcome given by the Moroccan authorities to the army chief of staff of the Zionist entity, whom they described as a war criminal and children's murderer, thus reiterating their steady support for the Palestinians and their just cause. Everyone agrees that the arrival of the Zionist soldier to Morocco is another provocation against Moroccans, and this visit will negatively affect Morocco's strategic interests and stability.
Still in Morocco, the non-governmental organization strictly condemns the Mahzen's migration policy, describing it as inhumane and deadly. The details with Sabrine Tefergenit.
Several organizations denounced the violation of human rights right after the big tragedy, with an estimated death toll of hundreds of African migrants attempting to enter the Spanish enclave of Melilla. Hundreds of lives were brutally killed by Moroccan police. The non-governmental organization Caminando Francoise criticized the gestion of illegal migrants by both Morocco and Spain. The Moroccan Association of Human Rights indicated that nearly 2,000 African migrants went through police violence amid their tents crossing Melilla's fence. The catastrophe occurred on the 24th of June and caused the death of no less than 27 migrants due to unprecedented repression from Moroccan authorities, has denounced Omar Naji from MAHR in a report from this non-governmental organization, denying by that the official statement of 23 deaths by the Moroccan authorities. For the first time in the Med border crossing in Melilla, the Moroccan forces surrounded the migrants and used tear gas, resulted pushing, conducting by that the death of the first victims. Today, 64 African migrants are still missing. The association is asking for an investigation and unveil the truth for the deprivation of life and the injuries caused, as well as the forced transfer of arrested people.
That was it for our news edition. Thanks for tuning in to our program. Good night.